Okay, so you've heard the phrase before. You don't have to lift a finger to manifest what you desire. And immediately, maybe your mind goes, okay, but that doesn't really make much sense. So I'm just supposed to sit here and do what? Nothing? Shouldn't I be, taking some inspired action, holding on to my desired identity, visualizing, affirming? I mean, how do things actually happen? And here's where you trip yourself up. It's not about sitting in a dark room, doing nothing, afraid to move, or afraid to take the next step. It's about seeing that every action naturally happens from the state that you're in, whatever state you're in. You're still moving, you're still speaking, you're still making decisions. But the difference is that when you want to manifest your desires, you're not doing this from a state of lack. You're not taking action to make something happen. For a person who is in a state of lack, taking action to make something happen, to force an outcome, to chase, to overthink, to obsess will feel natural and compelling. But you are taking action from the state of fulfillment now because it's the natural next step in your experience. And here's the thing, it won't even feel like action. You won't even realize that you're doing something towards your desire because it's just what you do. And no, you don't have to control action. Action is happening anyway. It always is. So let's make sure this is clear. Manifestation is not about forcing an outcome. It's about being the state of wholeness where that outcome is naturally unfolding. And that wholeness is nothing but resting in your true nature of awareness or God self. So think about it. I mean, when you're in a state of confidence, you naturally move, speak, and make decisions or choices from confidence. When you feel like everything is working in your favor, when you're in a state of abundance, you naturally perceive and interact with life from abundance. No one has to tell you, hey, act like a confident person today. Just be abundant. Make sure you do the abundant thing. You just do. And when you're in the state of already having what you want, you don't overthink the action. You don't micromanage what you should or shouldn't do. You just do things. It might even seem insignificant. Maybe you turn a corner and run into someone who changes everything. Maybe you send a message without obsessing over the outcome and you get connected with someone else who gives you an opportunity. Maybe you randomly listen to something while walking down the street that completely shifts your perspective. And because you're not fixated on, am I taking the right action? It all unfolds effortlessly. And here's where most people get stuck. They think they need to figure out the action. They're like, how will it happen? Should I do this? Should I do that? Maybe I should just take some inspired action to speed things up. This is the right action, right? But do you see the problem? That's not the state of already having it. That's not the state of wholeness. They're the same thing. That is a state of trying to get it. And action is taken from that state of lack. They kind of feel heavy, confusing, overwhelming, forced. They feel like you're pushing against reality instead of moving with it. So your actions from the state that you want will feel so natural that you won't even notice them. And this is where people completely misunderstand what not lifting a finger means, actually. It doesn't mean you sit still like a statue, avoiding all movement, like, oh, I'm not going to apply to the job. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit under this hut or this whatever. No, your action will feel so normal, so natural, so insignificant that you won't even realize it's leading you to your manifestation. You'll casually say yes to something and later realize it led you straight to what you wanted. You'll make a split-second decision without analyzing it. And that's the thing that shifts everything. You won't even clock it as a manifestation step because it's just what felt normal to do at that time. And that is the difference. When action is coming from the state of already having, meaning a state of wholeness, from recognizing who you truly are, it's never overthought. It doesn't feel truly significant. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, this is the step that's going to make it happen. No, it's just life unfolding. And you happen to move with it. You don't have to overthink sending a text. You don't have to analyze whether to go to that event or not. You don't have to micromanage every move you make from this place. Because when you're already in the state that you desire, you don't question yourself. Like, imagine you randomly decide to stop by a cafe on your way home. Just a normal, tiny decision, right? You're not thinking this is a manifestation step. You're just living. And boom, like while you're there, you overhear a conversation that gives you the exact insight you needed. Maybe they even mention a place that you needed to go, that you were looking for. Or you run into someone who changes everything. Leads you to where you want to be. No effort, no big strategy, just life naturally aligning itself to your state. Or say you casually update your LinkedIn profile one afternoon, not because you were strategizing or taking action, just because it felt like something to do in the moment. You don't even think twice about it. And a week later, a recruiter reaches out with an opportunity that fits exactly what you've been wanting. No traditional job hunt, no effort, just state moving first and action following like an afterthought, like it always does anyway. Or maybe one day, you're randomly clicking on a travel vlog while scrolling. It wasn't some manifestation technique. You just felt drawn to it. A split-second decision. Then a few days later, a friend randomly mentions cheap flights to that exact destination. Or a family member offers to cover your stay. And suddenly you're packing your bags for a trip you didn't plan. It just happened. And by the way, this is how I manifested my trips to Turkey and my recent trip last year to Costa Rica. It was gifted. It was gifted to me. And I know you like client examples, so here's a story. Maybe I featured her before, but anyway. One of my clients came to me saying that she felt stuck. I know I don't have to force things, but I don't get it. If I don't take any action, how will my manifestation happen? Is what she was thinking. So I asked her, well, are you afraid of taking action? Or are you afraid of taking the wrong action? She hesitated. She said, well, I guess I'm afraid that I'll mess it up. That if I do something, I'll somehow ruin my manifestation. And that's when it hit her. She was acting from a state of fear. It was pretty clear, right? So I told her, you don't have to force yourself to do anything. Just notice, what are the things that already feel natural to do? What have you already been doing naturally before the fear struck? The things you're drawn to do without resistance. And she started paying attention. She realized she kept thinking about, reaching out to a friend she hadn't talked to in months. It wasn't some big move. It wasn't something she thought would lead anywhere. It was just something that felt right. So she did it. She's like, I don't know, I just feel like texting this friend. Let me just text. And guess what? That friend ended up introducing her to someone who connected her to the exact opportunity, job-wise, that she had been waiting for. And she never planned it. She never tried to make it happen. She just moved naturally and things fell in line. And I'll also share, my manifestation story of my work in my psychotherapy position in the next video. But like you see, she wasn't forcing action. She wasn't avoiding an action. She was simply being in the state where the action happened on its own. And from there, things, like I said, fell in place. And this is what it means, that it fell in place without her lifting a finger. Not that she was like a statue doing nothing. So, the only thing that makes action feel forced or complicated is the belief that you need to make it happen. That is it, right? And that belief is stemming from an identification with a story. Because the moment you see through that belief, action happens effortlessly. So, if you're wondering yourself, well, am I doing the right thing? Should I be taking more action? Maybe I should just push a little more, right? Let's pause. And you can ask yourself, is this coming from the state of already having it or the state of trying to get something? And often if you're asking that question and doubting yourself, you are coming from a state of trying to get something from a place of lack. And sometimes it can be clarifying, like, oh yeah, I'm not trying to get anything. This is just something that I feel like doing. Because if it's coming from trying to get, you already know that you don't have to lift a finger. You just have to rest in your true nature of awareness or God's self, using any of the guided pauses. And then you'll begin to move, right? So I'm asking you, who are you identifying as? Because at any moment, you're either identifying as awareness itself, where states of love, abundance, and fulfillment naturally arise, or you're identifying as a collection of stories, thoughts, and emotions, where states of lack, doubt, and struggle naturally arise. From one, actions happen naturally, without effort, without analysis, without stress. From the other, every action Almost all action feels calculated, uncertain, forced. So the real work isn't figuring out what to do. It's seeing through the illusion that you have to do anything at all. Right? And if you need help with that, I'm happy to help in my sessions. And here's an analogy I know you're familiar with, right? Imagine your reality is a GPS. You're already put in the destination, which is your desire. Now, do you sit there gripping the wheel, second guessing every turn? Or do you just drive? If a turn is needed, you'll take it naturally. If a detour happens, you'll adjust without overthinking it. You're not thinking, oh God, should I turn left here? What if this ruins everything? No, because your GPS system already tells you where to go. You're just moving with the flow, and that's what it means to not lift a finger. It's not that you never take a step, it's that the step happens naturally without you micromanaging it. And before you know it, you look up and you're already there. So, if you're wondering what to do, nothing much. Not in the way the mind thinks. Because when you're already in the state, when you're identifying as awareness, meaning you're resting as that, life moves, you move, things unfold without force, without control, without trying. And that is why you never had to lift a finger. You just had to stop believing you did by seeing clearly through the illusion. And if you want to get a deep sense of knowing that, of that in your bones, that's where my somatic inquiry in my one-on-one coaching sessions comes in. And you can find the details in the description below. Or if you want quick responses with guidance or some guided pauses, you can reach out to me for my audio coaching. You send an email with your question and I respond with an audio note, and yeah, you'll find that and more in my description. So I'd love to see you in the comments and read your insights.